I was talking to an agent 4 days ago, and he was expressing where he is, and he's been giving his all for the last 2.5 years. And he said, I'm failing. And I said, listen, fail stands for first attempt in learning. And because of the first attempt in learning, and I started describing, consistency that Jamie talked about, and being patient and staying on course. And I said, maybe there's a reason why we're talking today. And what I'm looking for, the success that I've achieved and the trust that I've given to Darren and Jamie and working alongside with Kizzy, give me a chance and I'll make sure that, I pay close attention to your needs. Now I know your why, and now I know your purpose. Now, because I know those two things, it's easy for me to help you because you've already defined your struggles, what you're looking for, why you're doing what you're doing, what made you get your license. Don't quit. So you talked about the 92% that give up in the first 3 years. Kizzy and I are trying to empower them by changing their mindset to work along with champions so we can build a dynasty. And
What's going on? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins, and you guys know I love doing podcasts in person. And we got a whole group today I'm about to introduce. It's going to be an amazing episode. We have literally me and 4 other incredible human beings literally in the studio right now. We also have Dylan and Joanna, right? Incredible marketing individuals that I'll explain and talk through in a minute. Also, I'm going to ask some extra questions at the end of the podcast like I always do. You're going to want to take notes. There's going to be so many golden nuggets in this episode. I've been looking forward to this for months and even years. And so I'm super blessed to be doing this episode today. If you want to see like extra content behind the scenes, extra releases of the podcast, even get early releases of the podcast, as well as our shows, conference recordings, courses, et cetera, et cetera. Again, you can find all of that at castudios.tv. Okay. That is our team really is a part of CA Studios, helps put on this podcast. Today we have a special podcast. We have Mahad and Kizzy back in the office. So welcome back to both of you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys being here from Emerald Wealth Services. Also, if you want to learn more about what they're doing, you can go to emeraldwealthservices.com. And then they brought a couple of their incredible leaders joining us today, which is really cool. To Mahad's right, we have Senior Executive Partner with Experior, Mr. Darren Golka.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, brother. Appreciate
My
you,
pleasure.
man. Yeah.
It's an honor.
Thank you so much. Excited to have you here. I've been following you for a long time.
Thank
Good dude, man. Very impressive.
Thank you.
And we also have someone I've looked up to for a long time that is building something extremely unique and special. Also a very humble individual that I could say everybody in the room has learned from, and we're blessed to have you in big ol' amazing Springfield, Missouri today. Please welcome the co-founder of Experior, we have Mr. Jamie Prickett.
Thanks, Cody. That goes both ways. I've learned a lot from you over the years.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you so much, brother. It's been cool. What an amazing group. Fun podcast to do. And I really would like to start it off with talking about the importance of surrounding yourself with good people, right? Being a part of a good organization, having a good culture, et cetera. Mahad, when you were like meeting the Darrens and the Jamies and y'all were like really coming together and trying to figure out where you're going to, put your hat, right? Where you're going to do your business and help people. Because there's a lot of insurance agents around the world that are maybe not crushing it, struggling, unhappy. Unfortunately, there are cultures in the industry that are not great. They're not good, places you don't want to be a part of, frankly. We're not going to name drop, but like that's definitely true. What is it about what y'all are doing and who you're doing it with, and how important is that been?
It's an amazing question that you asked, because initially when we were deciding on a journey of having a great IMO that we want to represent, we've done extensive research, and your network is your net worth.
Mm-hmm.
And that is very important. Even though that's said simply, we wanted to make sure that the people that will guide us have done it, are doing it, and will continue to do it. And I've seen so many amazing videos of Darren and Jamie, and I went to Kizzy and I said, Kizzy, I want to partner with these two. We should partner with these two. They already made the blueprint. The system is already there. The infrastructure is already there. It's just plug in and play. Mm-hmm. And to the agents that are, part of different IMOs, I will encourage you to look at us at, Experior Financial Group, and as well as Emerald Wealth Services, because we've already duplicated from these amazing leaders, and they have list of accomplishments.
Yeah.
Every agent that I would encourage them that in order for you to be able to make your purpose and help more people, the framework is already here for us to be able to help you get there. And Experior has done that for us. And we want to do it for more and more agents and help more Americans.
Absolutely. Yeah. Kizzy, what is this whole group and this table like? How special is this moment right now? What does this mean to you?
So special. Like, I woke up this morning and I was talking to Mahad and I said, can you believe that we're here in Missouri with Darren Golka and Jamie Prickett? We used to be at home just staring at them and watching videos online. And now we're actually here in the flesh, in person. It's surreal. It's really surreal. It's such an honor. And from where I was a year ago to now, I wouldn't have imagined. And I'm just truly blessed and grateful that I'm in this position with these fine guys. Honestly, it's amazing. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah, super happy.
Hey, man, that's so good. Yeah, so cool.
They're amazing. They're amazing people.
Yeah, Darren, speak to that, man. Like, you're a part of, I would love to hear your story. I'd love to hear how y'all met, and because you were showing everybody's got rings, which is really cool. They get into later, which is awesome. You were showing me your $1 million earner ring, which is really, really cool. What's been happening along the way? How did you end up here? How did you guys all end up, partnering together?
It's, a little bit of luck and timing. I was part of a previous company for 9 years, had a great career there, and we built a, decent sized team of 500 agents and did pretty well in that firm. And made the fateful decision to leave, which is never popular. It's never good when you leave a company because it's, they chastise you and come after you or say this or that to protect the brand or protect them. And why would someone leave if it's so great? And a lot of people give us a lot of flack over that. So I left for various reasons. And I think the biggest one is a lot of the models out there today are paying 1980s compensation in 2025. So that comp was designed way back in the 80s, 90s, and it's never changed. So I was looking for something different. I didn't want to just find something that was the same. So I wanted to find something that was completely unique or different, someone that had broke the mold. And so I just did this on stage, Jamie, at our big event in Toronto and in Calgary. I said, imagine this, we're 11 years later after Jamie Leanne built Experior and started it. And their idea 10, 11 years ago was what we were looking for. They had completely broke the mold of the industry. So imagine like today, we know it's true that we broke the mold, but they had that vision 11 years ago. So I always love visionaries. If you look at around the world, the people that created massive companies, whether it's, the Microsofts or the Apples or the Teslas, et cetera. Love them or hate the people that run them. But I love what Jamie Leanne created. And so it was just the perfect fit for us to do something different in the industry, something unique, something that agents could get behind. Because I think as an agent, if you're going to build something, you got to be excited about it. Mm-hmm. If you're just like, it's another same rinse, repeat model as all the rest and just a different leader at the top. And I just love the fact that Jamie's so authentic. He's so real. He's so himself. And we sometimes cringe when he speaks on stage. What's he going to say now? But people love that because he's real. Yeah. And I think that's what people want in leadership.
Amen.
And when we met Kizzy Mahad, I was just like, I met Jamie Leanne the first time. A 3-hour meeting turned into 3 days. The final day, we were actually eating together in their home. We'd never known each other prior, but it was just that connection. When I met Kizzy Mahad, it was the same feeling. And I think what people today are looking for is just good people to work with, not someone that's browbeating you, pounding you down, telling you do this or else. It's a volunteer business. So I think that, when I met Kizzy Mahad, they're also professional, but they're a lot of fun. Yeah. And they're they could go out and brag about themselves, but they don't. Correct. And what they've done in the past. But I love that about them. And they've been attracting so many quality people because of who they are. And I think that's what makes Experior really special is that we're just real people, real ownership, real change in the industry. And so I fell in love with Experior 11 years ago. It's been one of the best decisions ever. Well, 7 years ago now. 7 years. But it's been amazing. So I think our growth now is just going to keep going and going. And it's a lot of fun. So
it's big. Yeah. It's grown a lot. It's pretty incredible. Jamie, I feel like too, you think about, there's a few things I really appreciate about you. One, I agree, raw, real, like what you see is what you get. Yeah. And that's rarely true online, seeing people doing stuff and then you get to meet them and you're like, oh my, like I've had some people over the years that I met. I'm like, man, I'm so excited to meet this person. I'm like, please let me never talk to this person ever again. And we've all seen it, like you guys watching, like, but I've appreciated about you because like dude, when you came in, like immediately, right? You're like dapping me up and giving me a hug. And like, I'm like, dude, I just, something about this guy, you know, which I appreciate a ton. So thank you for just continuing to be who you are and not letting success change you.
Yeah.
Because that happens a lot in business, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I've had to learn from lessons of our business and our brand growing, and then, you know, me trying to turn into something I'm not, you know, and forget where I came from.
Yep.
Right. So I appreciate about you, which is really cool. Well, how important is culture to this group, but also those watching and those trying to figure out and find their place in the industry?
Yeah. Culture is an interesting word because the word culture has the word cult in it.
Mm-hmm.
And there is such a fine line between the two. And that's one thing that's quite honestly scared me. I spent 10 years at a company where they had a culture, where if you weren't with them, you were against them. And I believe that there's abundance in our industry. There's so many great companies out there, great leaders of great companies out there. I think we're the best because I'm biased, right? Of course, I should think that. Otherwise, why would I be here and plant my flag and put my heart and soul into it? But the culture that we wanted to create was a culture of authenticity and transparency, and not saying the word integrity, because I often, and this is long before the integrity is a big company, they've had great success.
Right.
But long before that company came around in my mind, I used to say to people that if you have to tell someone you have integrity, there's a 99% chance you don't, right? It's who you are as a person, how you act, what are you, who are you? You know, I read a book years ago, T. Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember I was reading it I was on a trip, and it was like a $500 all expense paid trip. It was all I could afford at the time. And, you know, I remember reading this book, and it said in there that how you do anything is how you do everything. And that stuck with me to this day. At the time, I had a bit of a drinking problem. I've been sober for many years now.
Amazing.
You know, I had a lot of things in my life where I wasn't proud of myself as a father. I was a young father. I had my first child when I was 21.
Wow.
My wife and I now have 9 children through biological and adoption.
Wow.
You know, but I started really changing my life, and it wasn't just that book. It was other things, reading scripture, you know, growing as a man and becoming a man. This industry really changed my life. And I feel like, I stayed stuck for 10 years at that first company, but it was ultimately the biggest blessing I could have ever had. And a lot of people will talk bad about where they came from, and sometimes I'll have it slip. You know, I get a little fired up, and as Kizzy knows, I tend to I don't have much of a filter, you know. But I'll tell you, if it wasn't for those 10 years, I know actually that I wouldn't be in a position I am today.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and this is just my personal belief, is I feel like God kept me broke for so long so that I could really understand and appreciate what it's like to struggle in this business. And that's why I feel like I can relate to anybody. I was listening to a great podcast yesterday by Ed Milet, and he was sharing about how everything that we go through is a lesson that we could be helping other people get out of. And he talks about his father, who was an alcoholic until he was 15 years of age. Great story if you've never heard.
Incredible story.
Yeah. And he talks about how now, because of his father going through that, the millions of lives have been impacted. And it was one person that helped his father who also had the same problem. So it's like we can really connect with people that we've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt kind of thing.
Yes.
And I think that's kept our culture healthy, not an arrogant, you know, like, hey, we're better than everyone kind of mindset, although I believe it inside, but you don't, you know, I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it's good, man. Yeah, it didn't mean like you need to just beat your chest and say it all the time, you know, to the world, you know, like you're right. Your actions will prove it. You know, I love that because you see that a lot in our industry, that it's just like, yeah, people do get like offended if you like work somewhere else or if you leave, like you said, like, you know, it's crazy how many people like will start to bash people, you know, and it's like, dude, you can win a lot of places.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Now, in y'all's example, Experior and Emerald Wealth Services is exploding, right, and growing really quickly, right, which is really cool.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. How many agents and advisors are inside of Experior now?
Licensed now in Canada, there's just shy of 3,700. And in the U.S., we just crossed 9,000. I think we're now at 9,100 in the U.S. currently. Yeah,
it's awesome. Yeah. It's expanding quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's never as quick as you want it to, but, you know, we're excited. I mean,
True.
Thank God we're not where we used to be. Let's keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And we were stuck in Canada for the first, how many years? 7 years almost.
Yeah, only 4.5 years ago, we got our first licensed agent in the U.S., and we didn't even know what to do with them. I wish I knew you back then.
Yeah. Hey, ma'am. Yes. Me too. Yes.
But I just want to add one thing
Please.
that of Jamie's character, right? And Darren's character as well. When a co-founder of Experior makes the time in order to help you, and you're brand new to the company, that speaks volume. So there was a point when we were joining Experior and we needed help. Jamie was always there around the clock.
Yeah.
Jamie would always say, hey guys, this is what I would do. Guys, this, even individuals that are in our team, yesterday, he sent an email and said, Mahad, Kizzy, there is this, anything that I could do. What do you guys think? He doesn't dictate, he asks. And that's one thing that I really love about him, that I always wanted to look at him and say, Jamie, you do this so well that I haven't...
Almost too well. He responds to our own agents faster than we do sometimes. So as the leader, you just give it 2 minutes before you respond. And it's so cool.
I need to get AI or something soon, because it's only going to get harder, by the way. Right. Yeah. I'm one of my not so good traits is delegation. I've got to get much better at delegating. I've done it
because you love serving, Jamie. You've been that way from day one.
Yeah.
Even that.
But listen, I got to get out of the room after this. So you're blowing me.
Yeah. Sorry. I may not have room on this at night.
No, but
yeah, the good thing is you're not like that. So
that is important, and because we need help as agents.
Yeah.
And to know that a co-founder of a company where he has all these responsibilities to make the time and say
very true
this and provides you with the answer, and you're like, wow, I don't know how he has that much time.
That's right.
Like, who am I? Because I'm brand new, and here is a co-founder of a company that has so many millionaires and doing so many great things.
Well, you look at all successful companies right here. You just saw he took us on the nice tour. Yeah. Everyone's connected with you, and these aren't just employees and staff. These are your family. These are your friends. These are your people that you're building this empire with, right? You're no different. I mean,
yes, and that's exactly what we're building. That's exactly what we're building, and that's what Jamie has built as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna interrupt the podcast to tell you about our CABOOM leads that are literally blowing up. If you would love to never get disconnected numbers or wrong numbers ever again, then you will love our leads at CABOOM Leads. All of our lead types, we text the prospect a 6-digit security code. They go back in the funnel and put that in to verify that it is a real accurate cell phone number, and they've responded to a text message. We do this for all of our lead types. If you haven't tried CABOOM Leads, you can use coupon code podcast to get 10% off of your very first order at CABOOMleads.com. Back to the show. That's what's cool about we were talking about their stories yesterday. Kizzy was, they were both talking about how they were raised and where they came from, and Kizzy even got emotional talking about her mother, which was incredible, by the way. You had Mahad talking about, growing up and having be at a refugee camp. I think is what it was called, to eat at 1 o'clock. If you don't eat at 1 o'clock, you don't get a meal. You sleep on plastic, out in the mud, just unbelievable where you guys have come from, what you're doing, what you're building.
Your story's amazing, man.
Unbelievable story. It's going to attract and help a lot of people around the world, which is really, really cool. Kizzy, one thing I want to go to you about is I've seen this trend of, and it's not like it's, maybe I'm stepping out, maybe I'm incorrect when I say this, but I don't think you have to be, a faith-based individual to be a part of Experior. Mm-hmm. But I've heard that multiple times. You all mentioned it. You mentioned it. You just mentioned it. I'm impressed by that as well. It's really, really cool. Speak to that and how important that is too, to just have people that you just align with in general in life.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, because that's something that drove me to Experior the most, because, and I hope they don't take this the wrong way, but at the previous company, I felt that thing missing. I felt I didn't feel inclusive. Mm-hmm. And that bothered me a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So small meetings, big meetings, trips, I never felt inclusive. And because of that, one thing that you just mentioned, it's that the value and that one core thing, I feel that was misaligned. And when I came to Experior, That's the one thing that I liked the most. There was that one thing that I felt like everyone had in common, and I felt inclusive. I felt like, okay, this is...
You belonged.
Yeah, I belonged, exactly. And that is very important, as you said, because
True.
If you don't feel that, you're not going to give it your all. You'll never feel like this is truly your home. And even though, yes, we achieved great success over there, but still, there was still that one thing missing. And so even though I wasn't 100%, yes, Mahad, let's go to Experior, because I didn't know anything and, much about Experior. And I was a little bit intimidated by Jamie at first, because you're seeing these things online, and it's my truth. I was intimidated, and I told Mahad, like, do we really want to go there? Like, this is the person that's running the ship. And it's important for me to know and trust that person who's running the ship. And I'm like, I don't know. Right? And he's like, just give it one chance. And I did. I gave it one chance, and it's the best chance that I did. And yeah, it's important, even getting to know Darren. He's he has that core value. The person that's running the ship has that core value, and that was very important to me. And so now I do feel inclusive. I don't feel like that thing is missing anymore. And I found my home.
It does feel very it feels homey. It feels inclusive, very diverse organization.
Yes.
I've been impressed with that. Like, you see it. I mean, the insurance industry's, a bunch of old white dudes, really.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people around the world that can benefit from what we do, and they can help their families and generations, and like some things that you are talking about.
That need help.
So many communities that need help. And you guys did an amazing job of that, because like overall, all of you have, because like there's people that grew up similarly, Trinidad and Tobago, Somalia, like
Ukraine, Vietnam.
Yes.
I was so nervous to speak. I remember the very first year we went to that company, we went to the convention, and I got an email in my inbox, and they're like, "Oh, you've been selected to be a speaker." And I'm like, "Are you crazy? I'm not going to speak in a whole crowd with 5,000 people." So I declined. And I declined it. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this. Yeah. The CEO at the time, he pulled me aside, and he's like, "This is the first time that I've asked someone to speak and they have declined." I just wasn't ready. And it's because I did it. Just what I just said, I didn't feel that inclusivity. And afterwards, I didn't regret it, but, I realized that was a mistake. Like, I could have touched so many lives. So I made the decision that if I ever get asked to speak again, I'm never going to say no. Because I just don't know what the other person is thinking.
Imagine being a $500,000 earner there, and you're not speaking on stage. Like, you had to speak on stage to give people that hope, because your story and where you came from. And I think that's what inspires people about you guys, is your stories. I mean, when I had no idea his story, and being where he came from and dead broke, and then comes here, and I mean, I'm not going to talk about your wealth, but he's built an amazing lifestyle and business. And then
incredible.
You guys could have went anywhere, by the way. This couple could have went anywhere in the industry. Yep. And they researched a lot, and I'm very, very thankful that they're here, because they could have went anywhere out there. And so thankful that we are who we are, and Jamie is who he is, and you guys could have even done your own thing, but like myself and you guys, we found a way to partner with a great company, and I think together we're stronger for sure.
Yeah, I would say that too. I feel like a lot of agents around the industry, majority, I mean, they wouldn't even need our YouTube channel. They wouldn't need our 8% conference, anything if that we do, if so many people didn't struggle.
Right.
What have you seen from your lens of like why in this case, 92% of agents fell in the first 3 years, and I'm sure that statistic will evolve and change over time, but why do you think, for those that are watching, why do you think so many agents around the world struggle?
I think it's a lot to do with consistency. I compare it to exercise and diet, which I'm starting back again.
Let's go.
But it's like some people go to the gym one day and they spend 3 hours there, and then they don't go again for another month. And then they go in and they spend 3 hours there, and they look in the mirror and it's still the same tub of goo looking back at them. And then they wonder why it's not working. And it's because there's no consistency. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's a lot of people that think if I just give it everything for a week or a month or 6 months, it's going to happen. And it can start to happen. But I've been at this thing 24 years.
Wow.
I joined the industry when I was 21. I'm a product of 24 years of just being consistent. I was never a superstar. Even at my old company, I was struggling to pay my bills after 10 years. I remember checking my bank account every time I pulled in to get gas after 10 years in that company. Seriously. But I was still consistent. I was still learning. I was still growing. Now, I'm not saying that if you're struggling after 10 years, you might want to check the company you're with, because that was a large part of mine, because I left that company and all of a sudden our dreams started to take fruit, but just consistency, I think, is the biggest one if I had to say anything. Also self-improvement. I think, that's huge. Great Charlie Kirk, he said at a conference at PHP Agency, he said that Matt Sapala, one of the guys that was interviewing him on the stage, I watched, and he said, what would you tell young people in the business? And I remember him, because he was 29 at the time when he was doing the interview, Charlie Kirk was, and he says, everyone has access to resources today, right? 8% Nation, all your information that's out there, the YouTube. I mean, I learned a lot about the American business because I sat on YouTube. My wife goes to sleep earlier and wakes up earlier than me. I'm a night owl, and I literally watched your videos and every other different IMO that has videos. I watched all that stuff for a year and a half before we got our first licensed agent. I was soaking it in. I watched every video that I could find on how to build an agency in the US, good, bad, and everything else. And I think that what Charlie Kirk said was, if you read a book every week for a year, that's 50 books roughly. After 10 years, that's 500 books. It doesn't take necessarily years to gain wisdom. It takes diving in and getting the knowledge. And I think that's one thing that's lacking with a lot of people. And if they did that, if they dove in and went to the conferences and did all the stuff, I think that I honestly think that it's crazy that those 92% that failed, I think it's crazy that probably 90% of those 92 could have succeeded if they just were consistent and worked on themselves, right?
And their self-esteem, their self-image. You can't earn your self-image. Your self-image is 30, 40 grand a year.
And that's why the reading and studying other writers is so critical, right?
So critical to have that thinking process. I mean, I think Grow Rich and World's Greatest Salesman, Og Mandino books, and Jim Rohn and Anthony Robbins, Brian Tracy, all those great people in those books just helped inspire you to start believing in yourself. I think one thing, Jamie, too, about leadership is, if you believe in others more than yourself and you lift them up, people just need to believe in themselves more. As leaders, that's our biggest job. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing that, Jamie, you've done. You've always provided vision for people. Without vision, people will perish. We know this. That's right. So I think that's the biggest thing that you provide to us as leaders. Why would we join your business? Because you showed us that leadership. And I think, Kizzy, Mahad, that's what you guys are having so much success, because you are visionaries. Yes. And that's what a lot of people need, is to feel like they can be part of that, something bigger. And then once they get their self-esteem to that level, it's like they explode. So that's fine.
To hear you talk about the vision, the last couple of days of like Emerald Wealth Services and where you see it in the marketplace, they definitely got some vision, man. Big.
Yeah. I was talking to an agent 4 days ago, and he was expressing where he is, and he's been giving his all for the last 2.5 years. And he said, I'm failing. And I said, listen, FAIL stands for first attempt in learning. And because of the first attempt in learning, and I started describing, consistency that Jamie talked about, and being patient and staying on course. And I said, maybe there's a reason why we're talking today. And what I'm looking for, the success that I've achieved and the trust that I've given to Darren and Jamie and working alongside with Kizzy, give me a chance and I'll make sure that, I pay close attention to your needs. Now I know your why, and now I know your purpose. Now, because I know those two things, it's easy for me to help you, because you've already defined your struggles, what you're looking for, why you're doing what you're doing, what made you get your license. Don't quit. So you talked about the 92% that give up in the first 3 years. Kizzy and I are trying to empower them by changing their mindset to work along with champions so we can build a dynasty. And if we, and I've said this before, if we have an army of people together, we can achieve great things. The country is broken. There's death rates. I talked about the two tales of widow, in the past. And what we're trying to do is do that instant legacies for these families. But, only 2 people cannot do it alone. 157 people cannot do it alone. We need that 92% in order to change, people from relying on the government, instead relying on, the fundamentals of, you pay car insurance, why don't you have that little bit of a protection and providing a solution rather than selling a product. Yeah, that's something that Kizzy and I have done really well in the year that we've been here. And thanks to Jamie and Darren's success is easy to duplicate when you're with champions.
You know what?
I just thought of something. We should start 92% nation. We'll be direct competition.
That's right. That's right. It would probably, I mean, it'd probably fill up easier. Unfortunately, right? It is such a fine line.
Yeah.
But people like
quit too early.
so yes. The other well, that's what they talk about in the Think Grow Rich book, right?
Yeah.
That you just talked about.
I was going to say the piece of being consistent, because I missed the biggest element is then the why, right? And I love Mark Twain, right? Shania's brother, I think. No, Mark Twain says, I can show any man how to get what they want if only I could find a man that knows what they want. Something like that. I think that's a part of it, because it's hard to stay consistent in exercise unless you have a purpose. And when you're younger, I feel like I want a six-pack, I want to get the girls, I want to look good.
Sure.
As you get older, the motivation has to change. Like, I want to be here to watch my grandchildren grow up and get married one day, right? And that's why I need to be in the gym for 30 minutes every day or 40 minutes or whatever it is, right? And it's starting small, right? I think so many people, they overestimate what they can do in a day, but they underestimate what they can do in a lifetime or years, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
The best example I heard of that, Jamie, on stage at the Toronto event was they talked about university. So you go to university, do you expect a paycheck the first year, the second year, the third year? And all you're doing is spending money and time and energy. And then 4 years later, is there a guarantee of a job? There isn't. So why all of a sudden they get in this industry business and 2 months later they quit?
Yeah.
Where's that staying power? So we got to think a little bit differently, Cody, and how you think about your success. And anyone who's ever seen it, look at athletes, look at Olympians, 20 years. Some have been training for 17 years, 15 years. I think we have a mentality like a microwave society. And I think that's a problem. We want stuff so fast. But in reality, any success story takes time.
Yeah.
You're
right.
If you have that mindset, that helps.
Yeah, it's crazy you're right, because even the Olympics, like if they don't place in the Olympics,
they're a loser,
and they got to wait for 4 more years. Yeah, they made the Olympics. They're best in the world, but they didn't. Maybe they didn't place. Maybe they're unhappy. They got to wait 4 years to go back. We can't give this industry 4 hours, sometimes 4 days, 4 weeks. I've heard of people that literally dialed 32 times and then they quit. It's just like we don't give it. We definitely never give anything 4 years. I mean, it's wild. You also mentioned too. You talked about reading for a second. I want to go back to that because I'm like. Charlie Kirk read a ton. He inspired me to get started reading again. I read 10 minutes every morning. I should read more, but I just set my timer for 10 minutes and start reading. And I'm reading a book called Business Made Simple. I wrote down the book, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. I have not read that book, so I need to check that one out. But there's so many people, like if like I asked ChatGPT, like what do the most successful people in the world do? And ChatGPT said, Cody, they read. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett reads over 500 pages a day. Bill Gates goes on these excursions where he takes and reads for a week. Or, Elon Musk read to learn all about science and fiction, all this other stuff, and space. But we don't do that at all anymore. And I've always historically said, like, I hate reading. Well, the more, I'm sure that's in the book of Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, the more I say I hate reading, the more I'm not going to read. The more you say you hate dialing or recruiting or doing this or that or speaking on stage or whatever, the less you are going to do it, So it's inspired me, really, Charlie, it inspired me to start reading again, because you can tell, like, there are people in the world that were as well read as that guy for 30, 31 years old.
He was brilliant at that age.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. How important is that too, just to keep learning, keep growing, I'll go back to you, Kizzy, because you're someone who I feel like from a personal production standpoint, you came a long way in what did y'all say you've been with Emerald Well Services, been with Experior for a year?
Well, 1 year.
1 year, about to crack a mill. And in cash flow, like money in the bank.
This year, it's crazy, right? It's crazy, because I was talking about it yesterday, and Kizzy's like, I don't know that I want that out there. I'm like, well, you're about to be rocking a ring pretty soon, you know what I mean? So,
he's humble though. It's makes her special.
Incredibly humble, but that's so fast.
Yeah, it's so fast.
It proves like what's possible when everything aligns. And, I'm just amazed, like how much y'all are producing and how you're about to help a lot of other agents produce too. But like, I'm amazed by that.
Yeah, the minute I made that decision to fire my boss is what I like to say. Like my whole life just changed. And I just want to be able to inspire other people to do the same. It was scary. for me to do that. Like having the consistent paycheck and you have all these responsibilities and I'm like, what am I doing? But I needed to do something better. One of my biggest fears is, what if my life is long? And if my life is long, I don't want to be a burden to my family. So I need to do something about that now. And I learned that. And I'm so thankful that I'm in the financial industry because I didn't have a mentor growing up. I didn't have a coach. You know, my parents only taught me what they knew. So being in this industry really opened up my eyes. And I talk to clients about this all the time. What if life is long? And I witness it too. I meet people that are 74 years old and 65 years old. And they said, oh my God, Kizzy, I wish I knew this before. I wish I did that differently.
So true.
You know, I feel like it's too late. So I try to encourage them. It's never too late. It's okay to start now. But had they had that time, and I'm grateful that I have that time. I'm not that old, nor am I that young, but I feel like I still have time on my side.
So we're pretty close in age, so you're right.
So, you know, I feel like thankfully I am doing all the right things to make sure that if my life is long, I'm okay. So yeah, just the minute I fired my whole life changed, and, you know, traveling and meeting all you guys and incredible people, and, you know, yeah, it's just happening so fast, and I'm excited. Every day I wake up, I'm just excited, ready to go. I wake up 4 o'clock in the morning. My family's like, where are you getting all this energy? Why up at 4 in the morning? I'm like, I got things to do. People let me. I'm excited. Like, and they don't get it, but I know the people that I'm around, they get it. Yeah. Right. So, and it's just beautiful and amazing. And I can't wait to see what's going to happen next.
Because you guys, it's something that when you first came on board, I didn't really know if I should believe you. Same with Jamie. He had this massive vision. I'm like, okay. I know we have a saying that Jamie calls a play, the coach calls a play, you run the play, right? Mahad had this massive vision. I'm like, whatever, I've heard this before. Yeah. But then he was true to his word. And that vision inspired you, and together you two have been unstoppable. Yeah. You know, I think that's what makes you special, but I think others out there too is you have to dream big. Jamie, you talked about this. Maybe you can explain about dreaming super big, because you talk about that a lot and why that's important.
Yeah, the most important thing I think when it comes to being a visionary is not necessarily that people believe the vision, but that they believe the visionary themselves, that they believe this guy just actually believes that this is going to happen. And it's believing the person that's casting the vision, right? Yeah. I think and that comes down to, do you actually believe what you say you're going to do? I believe with every fiber of my being that we are going to create the largest, most powerful financial services company on the planet. I believe that we will have more financially independent families come out of this organization than any other company in history. I believe that in my fiber. I get goosebumps thinking about it. Like, it drives me so much.
That's amazing.
And whether you believe me or not,
correct,
is irrelevant. But some people, it's cool if you do, but some people just want to grab on it and go, you know, if he's half right, we could do something big here, right?
So true.
Yeah, I think that's a big key, right? To you know, selling the dream to people. And the other thing is, I think if there's a lot of people in the different builders models that do a lot of recruiting, right? Especially in the US side, not so much in the Canada side. And a lot of times the leaders, they'll have these goals and they will be vocal about it. Like, my goal is to make $1 million. It's like, okay, that's cool. What's that doing for the 100 people you have on your team?
Yeah.
Right. Like, what is it? Like, it's not big enough for them, right? You're going to have something that's big enough to fit everyone's dream, right? Yeah. Otherwise, no one's going to buy into that vision or not want to buy into it. It's like, why would I buy into that? That means, okay, what am I stuck here making $50,000 a year because I'm one of your 100? You know, like, you got to have that vision, I think, that encompasses everyone in your organization to have that.
Jamie, that was your call from day one, is to make sure that the everyday person, people look at our comp model and they look at what they're getting paid, and they're like, it's like double.
Yeah.
You know, it's like more than double what we're getting paid. And so a lot of people look at that and say, well, why'd you do that? Like, why'd you pay so much out? And so I think you're not, I know you not to be greedy either. And so giving people more money was helping them, because if they got to go here and they're here and they don't believe, and then they don't make enough money, and it's just a longer track. And so all the things of personal development, making better money. I mean, someone who gets paid more initially up front is going to be a lot more excited. Yeah. And they're going to be able to go full-time quicker or believe themselves more. And Jamie, that was your model. So you built that in from day one.
The curse, I think, of some of the builders models, that like some of the traditional old school ones have been around for a while. One of the negatives of them that I see is that you got to starve your way to the top. Mm-hmm. It's hard to make a living along the way. It's not impossible. Many people do, but it's very difficult. And we wanted it to be, and there's a lot of companies that operate similar. They pay competitive comp right from day one. We're not the only one, obviously. But it's like you got to make a living and pay your bills while you're chasing after your dreams, right?
Yeah. So otherwise, you're living a nightmare while you're being sold a dream. It's like a nightmare way, right?
Yeah. For the industry, being an outsider and looking in, I see that everybody talks about selling a dream. But that's your dream. That's your vision. So when Kizzy and we wrote our vision, even though Darren didn't believe or Jamie didn't believe, I knew what I'm capable of because I'm in charge of my 24 hours.
That's right.
So we put our head down and we said, this is what we're going to stop making noise, focus. We're still laser focused on our team to the point where we know exactly how to navigate through complexities in order to get to the end line, right? Yeah. There are multiple ways of getting to a destination, but we know all the destinations and we know how to get there quicker. So while we looked at Darren and looked at other successful people within Experior, I said, Kizzy, I'm a mathematician. I said, I did the formula. I said, this is what they've done. This is what we can do. Let's mix the two. Let's get it together. Yeah. Right? And when we're coming to Missouri, Kizzy and I were saying, this is where we are going. And let's make a goal of taking 20 people to make 6-figure income next year. And that's more
than 20.
Right. We'll definitely have more than 20. But setting a minimum standard is important. Yeah, it is. And then overachieving that is very important too for us. Because what we want to do is that we're saying we've done it, we're doing it, and we will help you do it. Because when you know the people's purpose that are directly associated, yes, it's a volunteer, right, for them to come. True. But when you learn and build, and it's more fun, it's more enjoyment. This is what I see with Jamie and Darren, and being connected to them, and then working alongside with Kizzy, saying, okay, we did this, so let's help the next person, right? So yes, the 92% that are struggling, but we always had our head down, and now I think that we need to come out of that and to make our story be heard so we can help and touch more lives.
True.
Yeah. Can I just add something to that? There was this one agent that recently joined our agency, and we were having a conversation 2 days ago, and she was hesitant for about a year until she finally made the decision. And then she said to me, Kizzy, can I tell you something I never told you before? I said, of course. She said to me, the one reason why I decided to join with you and Mahad, I could have gone with anyone else within Experior. But she said, she reminded me of one time she called me and she asked me to run a travel insurance quote for her, for a client of hers. And they had the same carrier, but she just thought that maybe we had another one that, would have been a little bit more suitable for the client and more affordable. And I said, no, we have the same exact carriers that you have over there. But the one that you ran, that quote that you ran, this is the cheapest. So this is the one I would recommend for your client. What struck her the most is that she was somewhere else at the time. She wasn't at Experior yet, but she said, you took the time to stop what you were doing. It was so late at night, like 12 o'clock at night. And she's like, you don't have to do it now, do it tomorrow. But I'm the type of person, if there's something on my mind or something on my list, I can't sleep. I have to get it done. So I'm like, before I go to sleep, I'm just going to run the code and I'll send it to her. And I did that, not even knowing how much of an impact it would have. This is just me being me. But she told me that had a huge impact on her because she had asked someone else within Experior, and that person says, no, I'm not going to do that for you. What's in it for me?
Wow.
And she said, at no point, Kizzy, did you ever mention anything about commission or about refer? Nothing. And she said she went back to the client. The client was happy they got the travel insurance. And she said, that's the one thing that made me realize that you cared for me and not about yourself. And I think one of the things that's unique about us is we started off as just producers. We were not earning income from the expansion of a team. And our purpose is to build others to be like us, producers, have maybe 20 high producing agents because we have the ingredient. We have that secret sauce that we share with everyone else.
And they didn't want a team 6 months ago or a year ago or whatever,
Now, when they first came on board, I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, okay, fine. And that's the cool thing. We have a complete producer side and a complete builder side and a mix of the two. It's like the best of all worlds. Yeah. I'm like, okay, knock yourself out. Go over there and knock it out. You're going to hit $1 million in a year. And I'm like, on mostly production. But now they've caught the bug of building. Because I said to them, we talked about this, remember? About the community. I said, Matt, how much can the two of you do?
Yeah, he was like, let's see how long this is going to last.
What if you had 100 people trained like you guys have trained people so well? Imagine the impact.
Yeah. Right.
By the way, for the Americans watching, we can sell travel insurance in Canada.
Yeah,
That's confusing to
travel insurance. What is that?
I know. Yeah, it's a difference. You don't need a PNC license in Canada. It's a life and accident.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we do millions a month in travel insurance in Canada.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
My aunt and uncle are traveling. We're doing a quote for them right now. And one of our agents, just like yours, she goes, no, I don't need a commission here. I'll just help you. You can figure it out. I'm like, no. But they did a quote for them and saved them a ton of money, like over $1,500.
Wow.
Crazy.
I assumed you had I've never sold travel insurance. I assumed you had a PNC license everywhere.
Yeah. No, not in Canada.
Wow. That's a nice little nugget. Yeah, you know, learned something cool.
And if you're a U.S. agent, you want to get into Canada, we can help you do that.
And you don't have to move to Canada.
No.
Boom. Look at that. Amazing. What an incredible podcast so far, by the way. This has been unbelievable. You were talking about earlier, you made me think of something, Kizzy, earlier. You talked about how, like, you know, struggling and, you know, even in the business, like something was hard, you had to sacrifice or whatever, you know, to like get this off the ground and you know, build this. But compared to what you went through, you know, moving from Trinidad and Tobago to Canada when you were 9, and then coming back and be like, no, it's going to be best for you long term. And then when you were 12, you know, I would say if you can go through that, you can go through anything.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And that's true for so many people too that are listening and watching. Like, you know, trust me, there's stuff in your life that was way harder, way more difficult.
Yeah.
And if you want to not go back to that and you want to live a different life, like that is what is possible in this industry.
Yeah.
You know, it's incredible. And you guys are all living proof of that today.
I think everyone at this table, Jamie, you've been through crazy stuff. I mean, I began the industry $116,000 in credit card debt.
Wow.
And had to fight my way out of that. And you can imagine the mentality, the crushing blow of your ego and everything when you have to go through that. And I know no one else out there has any credit card debt, just me.
Yeah.
But
being
able to push that. And the one thing I would say is the book Go for No is a great book. And in the book Go for No, it says people think there's either success or failure. In reality, failure is on the way to success. You have to go through failure. And you talked about failure and fail. And you have to go through failure to success. There's never one or the other. It's all on the way. And I think people, if they realize that, they know that these failures are all part of the learning curve. And frustration and failure, I think, is the fertilizer of champions. I really do.
100%. First attempt in learning. That's what I call it.
I love that. I never heard that before.
I haven't either. That's really good. That's a golden nugget for you guys watching today. That's great.
Yeah.
So good. Well, I have loved today. You guys have been unbelievable. We're about to go and ask some additional behind-the-scenes questions for our CA Studios audience. But incredible podcast. So many incredible nuggets. An honor to have all of you on at the same time.
Likewise.
Jamie, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you being here. Darren, awesome job. Thank you so much for being a part of this. And enjoy the game tonight.
Thank you.
Go
Blue Jays.
Dodgers and Blue Jays game 4 in LA.
And we're rushing out of here to hit that plane to go there. So
this is really cool. And the Mahad and Kizzy, unbelievable job once again. Love having you guys back. If they have any other questions about how they can learn more, get in touch and get help and become one of those 6-figure earners as you're talking about, or even 7 figures, etc. What do they do, or where do they go?
Yeah, so you can go to emeraldwealthservices.com. And once you go to that website, you'll get access to our Facebook, Instagram, and all our social media there.
It's cool. I love it. Thank you both for being back once again.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Cody.
Really appreciate it.
Unbelievable job. Also, love you guys. Appreciate you being part of the Power Players podcast. We're about to go to some behind-the-scenes questions that are going to get interesting for CA Studios. So if you're not a member of CA Studios, it's a couple of liquid deaths a month. You can join castudios.tv and get access to extra content and help. It's like our streaming. If you're new to us, it's our streaming training platform for agencies around the world. It's only $99 a year, but it's our way to give back from a content standpoint to help agents. And so we're about to jump in. Thanks for hanging. We'll see you next time on the Power Players podcast. Come on.